My name is Graham Smith. I am from Belfast in Northern Ireland and I am a photographer. I've never studied photography. None of my family or friends have no history in art or photography whatsoever. Basically, I can't remember where it started exactly, but I find myself just having a camera with me at all times when I was younger. So from the ages of about 13, 14, I had a little compact 35mm camera, which I would photograph my friends at concerts or skating or just hanging out at parties. And one day I took a very lucky shot of Glenn Hansard from the Frames. And this was when the Frames were tiny. I think they were on their first or second album. I still don't know how Hot Press found it, but Hot Press, because this is before it was, I didn't have a website, but Hot Press phoned me up one day and asked to use the photograph. And I still remember being absolutely shocked that somebody would pay money for a photograph. It never occurred to me that that could be somebody's job, that all those photographs you would see in billboards or magazines or record companies, that was somebody's job. It just literally never occurred to me. So they paid me for one shot, and then I realised that, okay, I could hang out with musicians and potentially make some money while doing it. So that was how I got started, basically. I was a professional photographer for like full time, I would say, sort of 10 years. I did it, like I had other jobs at the same time, so full time, 10 years. And for the most part that was fantastic. For the most part, I would say about 75% of my work was actually with unsigned bands, because at the time, this is before everybody had a DSLR. At the time, I think I was the only kind of affordable photographer in Ireland and even parts of the UK where I wouldn't try to charge unsigned bands thousands of pounds the way some photographers were doing, and the way some bands had to go to maybe a wedding photographer or a family portrait photographer, because that's the only ones they could afford. They couldn't afford the professionals. So I would spend a lot of time working with unsigned acts, a lot of independent labels, small labels. Like I did one of the first ever shots of Arctic Monkeys, one of the first ever photo shoots with Razorlight, a couple of the kind of hypey London bands like that. I got lucky with, basically, or I suppose if you shoot 1,000 bands, one or two are going to break through. And through that, I started working for magazines. My name started to get out there a bit more. I started working for different record labels. I did a lot of work for Universal. It would be my main label. Whenever you start to work for slightly bigger people and you get paid slightly more money, not much more, but slightly more money, there's also more control. They want more control. They want to and I understand why, but they want to have more of a say before the photograph's taken of what it should be. So instead, in the past, where I would meet a band and go, okay, what sort of style of photography do you like? And they would say, we like black and white, or we like colour, or we like posed, or we like it relaxed. I started getting people sending me example photographs and basically wanted me to recreate a classic Nirvana photograph or a Clash photograph, and it was pretty much, I guess after a year or two it started to dawn on me that some of the time I was a monkey. I was basically looking at another photograph and posing people in the same way and trying to recreate what somebody had done 25 years ago. That is quite disheartening. You know, I got a diagram one time over fax about exactly where they wanted the sun and a tree and the band, and I was just like, to be honest, anybody could do it. It wasn't that difficult then, and the challenge left, the fun left, and that's kind of weird because it was also at a time where some of my friends thought I was doing, and should be enjoying it a lot more because you're working with bigger bands and you're getting paid. And I don't know. I just began to hate it. Not hate it. I began to hate actually certain days of it. 2 days a week I began to hate it. So yeah, it was time to get out. Music's been a part of my life since I was 11 years old. 11 years old, Nevermind came out, the first record I ever bought. Second record I ever bought, Sammy's Dream, Smashing Pumpkins. So those two massively influential records to me. I've been involved in music, I guess, since I was 11. Like I used to put on all ages gigs with my friends. I used to hang around with bands, lift their amps. I've never been interested in playing music. Like I've got a guitar and I can play the opening chords of Smells Like Teen Spirit very badly, but that's about it. Never had any interest in being on stage. Always wanted to be around the stage in some way and not just in the crowd. I want to be backstage and hanging out with bands. So when I started doing music photography full time, I was never wanted to just appear at the gig, take 4 shots, walk off home again. I would be there usually at the venue before the band even arrived. I would help them load in. I would end up going out for dinner with them, and through that, when you hang around with bands, you start to see so many things that go wrong, and how people deal with it, how tour managers and crew and the band deal with the problems. So I guess I started to build up, without even knowing, I was starting to build up a kind of a knowledge of all these problems that I've seen other people going through. And I became more and more interested in the industry side and the business side. I moved pretty quickly into touring with bands. I did merch, I did tour management. My main band at the minute that I work with is And So I Watch You From Afar. I've been their tour manager for 4 years now. I actually knew them from the start. I did their first proper photo shoot, and that's how we met. They were just a band who I just loved. I actually loved them as people. I loved being around them. They're such a, at times strange, but a very enthusiastic, driven, hardworking. Nothing will stop us. Fuck everyone who tries to stop us. We're just gonna go for whatever the goal is that week, which changes every week. But it's like I've rarely met with someone who's so. I've rarely met a group of musicians who are so focused. They don't lose focus ever, no matter what's going on in their personal lives, or with girlfriends or family or money or anything like that. That is always set to one side. It's about giving the best show you can possibly do. The way they play now, I've seen them playing to 4,000 or 5,000 people at a festival. Is the exact same passion they gave to 4 people in a random pub in England 4 or 5 years ago. That's why they've got to where they are. Driving through Austria with And So Watch You From Afar, and I had my DSLR on my shoulder, go out at a petrol station, and Rory and Johnny from the band, they were just kind of having a smoke to one side and they were chatting about something, but it was just the most perfect image. It was like the snow-capped mountains, and it's about 6 in the morning, and the smoke from the cigarettes and the steam from the coffee. It was the perfect image. And I knew that if I got my DSLR, which was around my shoulder, if I was to raise that to my eye, they would immediately not relax. They would immediately be on guard. And it was literally that second it just clicked on me. It was like, okay, I've got a camera here, which everybody has. People will relax with it. It's not going to be such a big deal. Took the iPhone out, took a shot, was delighted with it. I still use that shot. That was the second where it quite literally clicked that this is a serious tool. It's not just a joke. It's not just a toy. There's no reason why it's not a camera. I guess I do feel restricted with it, but in a way that I quite enjoy. So I guess it is a challenge. There's definitely things I miss. I miss depth of field. I miss depth of field. Actually, that's pretty much it. And I miss some of the focusing issues. I like the fact that I'm limited. I like that. I enjoy that. It's like I remember, it's a random one, but I was watching the White Stripes documentary the other night from their Canadian tour, and there's a part in the documentary where it says that Jack White plays he would have his amp and his keyboard and his guitar pedals really far apart, so it's actually quite difficult to get to. But that's part of the challenge, otherwise it's too easy. If everything's sitting right beside you and your keys are here and your amps are, it's all very, very easy. I guess that's the same with the way I see iPhone photography. It is difficult. It's I can't just raise it and go. I have to go into different apps if I want to do a different effect, or if I'm in low light or high light or natural light. There's a different app I have for that. I quite enjoy that. I quite enjoy the fact that everybody is kind of on an equal level. That if you have an iPhone or even a BlackBerry or whatever, everybody's on the same level, and it is a bit of a challenge, but it's a nice challenge. It's an enjoyable challenge. I make money from iPhone photography, not much, but I make money through print sales and even through some stock libraries at the minute. From a business point of view, taking photography in general, not just iPhone photography, I think it's kind of fucked. From that point of view, I can't see how you're going to be able to make a living from it soon. It doesn't really bother me too much anymore. If it's from an artistic point of view, I think that the future is incredibly bright. I think it's incredibly interesting. And there's a lot of people who think, particularly with iPhone photography or mobile photography, that this biggest downfall is that we're being saturated with images. And that's never bothered me. The more the better, as far as I'm concerned. The good ones will always rise to the top. Same with music. People said that 5-6 years ago when MySpace started promoting bands, that we're being saturated by all these shitty bands. The good ones still rise to the top every single time, and I believe that with photography. I think the future is incredibly bright, and it's and more so incredibly interesting because it's putting an easy to use tool, which is easy to also spread the images around the world using tools actually on the phones. You don't have to copy the laptops. It's putting that in the hands of everyone, from a housewife to a tour manager to a musician to an actor who wants to put up behind the scenes shots. I think it's just incredibly interesting and become more so over the years. I get a lot of criticism and hassle, less so as time goes on, but a lot of criticism from real photographers about what I do. In particular, I mean, there's some like it tears my head nuts. I can't understand things like this, but an example would be a gallery in Paris when they put an exhibition of my work. They chose the photographs. They heaped so much praise on them, like embarrassing amount of praise on them, and then found out it was from an iPhone and immediately cancelled it. And it was just like it was like, okay, you just told me how much you love the photographs. I can understand if it was from a business point of view, if they thought, okay, we can't market this in the same way, you can understand that. But they actually said in the email, it's not photography. This is not photography, therefore we can't use that. So yeah, I get pretty much daily hassle from somebody. But I think it maybe comes from my kind of early punk rock days where I quite enjoy rebelling a little bit, and I do feel like I'm rebelling a little bit. Yeah, that's quite a nice feel. That's okay. That's good with me.